Welcome to another episode of Reef Keeping. What's up, guys? Happy 4th of July for those who are joining me on this episode today. I'm just gonna film this real quick, then go out, hang out with friends and family. So for those of you who do have friends and family, turn this off and watch it tomorrow. But for those of you who want to join me on this journey today, welcome aboard and thanks for watching. First, let's do an update. I do have a auto top off now programmed for my vinegar, so my distilled white vinegar. When this hits this pH reads 8.5, this kicks on, and when it reads 8.4 and reduces it, it turns off. So that's the new cool thing right there. Corals are doing fantastic, better than they were before, and here are the chunks that we cut up here from that colony that was over here. So now I got 1, 2, 3 mini-sized kind of chunks of colonies that I have. Probably get rid of some of those, selling it or whatever. Let's see what else is new. My pump is working. My return pump for the back right chamber, for those of you who followed me in the last video. And then that is about it, all that I can think of. Surprisingly, through all this mess, my clam survived. It's usually the clam that goes first because it's the most delicate, but for some reason my corals, my SPS, some of it just died first before my clam, and my clam is doing great. So zoos are doing great, everything's doing good. On this episode, we're going to talk about substrate, something that's been discussed quite a few times, what's preferred, personal preference, things like that. Substrate is a very personal decision. For me, I think it's just one of those things where, you could go either way. But from my experience, I did a sand before, and now that I've experienced with bare bottom, I can tell you my next future in any continuous tank that I build is going to be bare bottom. Reason why is that it is easy to clean off. So as you can see right here, you can see where the dirt or all the substrate is. It's easy to suction up, whereas if you have sand, then you gotta get the sand, mix around the sand, then that causes just a mess in there. Your tank gets all foggy for 5-10 minutes, also mixes up chemicals and all this crap in the sand. So I tend to go with bare bottom because you can irritate some corals that live in the sand if you do siphon the sand, and the sand gets washed around by the pumps and irritates the coral. So one reason why I would go with bare bottom. 2, it is extremely easy to clean, because if you get a razor blade, you can always just clean off in the bottom. To me it looks unnatural, but it has benefits. Less of chemical swings from what I've noticed, because I won't be, when I clean my tank, I won't be siphoning the sand, things like that. So that's 2 reasons. Let's think of a con. A con would be it doesn't look natural. So sand does give the natural look to any reef tank, as you can see. But if you were gonna go sand, and this is discussed before, you want to do deep sand bed. Don't half-ass it, as as someone would say. If you can go sand, just go all out. Don't half-ass it. So if it's something that you want to do, then do like 3 inches or so, 2-3 inches of sand. So it just looks, I noticed that when I do have sand before, that if a pump was given too much power or creating too much current, all my sand would for some reason would just go from one side and be on another side if the flow is uneven. So make sure your grade of sand isn't also ultra light, so it has some weight to it, so it doesn't wash around too easily. So that's a nice way to keep your sand all in place, because sometimes sand can be light and get washed from one side to another. Another downside to having bare bottom is that corals do tend to grow on the glass, which is, some people like it. For me, I don't really care much for it. You could also, I've noticed people have egg crates under the layer of the glass, and then the corals on top. You could do that. For me, I just did it the way that looks the best to me. I don't like the white egg crates. I just like, if I was gonna do bare bottom, I'm just gonna do bare bottom. So that's what's going on here. Otherwise, you could also get black sand, and I noticed some people have black sand, and the cool thing about black sand is that it brings out the colors in the corals more. So if you have more colors there in your coral, it does bring out more color to the corals. One side that I wish I would have done, or the RSM had, was that it had a blue background. The black background is okay, It does bring out some depth perception and colors to the corals, but the one thing about blue background is that it makes the tank look bigger. For some reason, that's just how our eyes perceive things when we see things with a blue background, so it looks bigger. That's what I could think of. What else is here in the pros and cons for bare bottom? You know, that's just about it. I just prefer having something that is easier to clean, you know, doesn't mess around with chemicals too much, or the chemistry in the tank, because, you know, you don't have anything just flushing around or anything like that. You know, you can see where your tank is dirty, you can go right to the spot and cleaning it up. That's what I prefer. And, you know, you don't irritate your corals, because sometimes if you have some LPS or something here and you know, siphon the sand trying to clean up all the, you know, nasty detritus or poop or whatever, it tends to, you know, the siphon doesn't get all of it, so some of it does slip back out and land on a coral, whatever, irritates it and can kill it. So that's what I prefer about bare bottoms, and that's my 2 cents. And, you know, I would stick with it because I've had tanks both ways, and this is, to me, seems easier to maintain. But, you know, do whatever you like. If you like a natural coral look, then go for that. Natural reef look, then go for that, because that is the best way to do it, is through sand. Anyways, if there's any other pros and cons that you guys can think about, make sure to comment below. Thanks for watching, and remember to share, subscribe, and comment. Again, happy 4th of July, and see you guys on Friday.